This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, it does not matter who the host is. What has always mattered is who the listeners are. Anyways, we are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM. And then we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues. Well, where are they exactly? I think somewhere over there.
Another great hour of freeform radio. Or is it Radio Big?
Okay, hanging out with our friends at Radio Big, because that's kind of what we do over there. Do some fun stuff. Do some exciting things, have some fun times if it's all possible. Anyways, today's Monday, May the 18th of 2026, just in case, and we are coming to you from the multiverse that we know as Safety FM. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on. So how are you? How was your weekend? What did you do? Did you do anything fun? Did you do anything exciting? Was there any birthdays, holidays, or anything off that you kind of celebrated and did? I don't know. I just like to ask those kind of questions because it's always a good time as we are talking and hanging and doing all the fun stuff. Anyways, with that being said, let's start talking right away on what we do around here. Our show consists of safety in the news and safety. That's just kind of what we do. We talk a little bit about everything. We talk a little bit about this. We talk a little bit about that. And then we kind of move forward through everything that's going on. So if you're good with this, I'm good with this. We can move forward, talk about the things that are going on, and get into this thing that we call our multiverse of things. Yes, that is kind of the way that it goes. We do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and kind of play around and do some things, because why would we not be doing that? That is for sure the question of questions as we are going. So with that being said, I do have some people that I hang out with from Feature Story News. They come in, they talk about the things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse, and then we kind of move around and go from there. That's just kind of how our show goes. That is the world of our show. And then you can interact with the show if you want to do it. There's kind of two ways of doing this. It's simple to do so. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. Once you get there, audio, video, and text messaging. Audio, video, and text messaging are the options. Outside of that, that's it. Once you get there, Those are the options. I'll ask you a couple questions, or you can go to safetyfm.com, go to the hub section, and you'll see everything there listed. That is the way that we do our thing, and then we move forward into the multiverse of things, because why would we not do it in any other fashion? That is for sure. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this, move forward, and talk about everything that is going on inside of the world. That is kind of what we do around here. So with that being said, I am going to bring you my friends from Feature Story News. Let them tell you what exactly is going on, because why would we not do that? Like, seriously, why would we not give any consideration to this stuff? So let's do that right now.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in New Delhi, I'm Neha Punia. US President Donald Trump has issued a fresh warning to Iran. With peace negotiations stalled, he's told Tehran the clock is ticking. His latest threats coming after he rejected Iran's response to the White House peace proposal. Alistair D'Souza has more.
Donald Trump, on his Truth Social account overnight, posted an AI-generated image. It warns of, quote, the calm before the storm. That particular AI-generated post, it shows the US president surrounded by military vessels with lightning striking down from dark clouds above. So people trying to interpret what's going on here. Because all of this really coming in the midst of these media reports from the New York Times and also Fox News saying that the US is weighing restarting strikes on Iran. Trump, as you know, has grown increasingly frustrated with Iran after Iran responded to that peace proposal sent by the US. Trump called it absolutely unacceptable. He told reporters on his return to China about how he apparently read the first line and he really didn't like that first line and just decided to throw it away.
An Ebola outbreak in Congo and Uganda has been declared a global health emergency by the World Health Organization. Officials say the current strain is caused by a virus for which there are no approved drugs or vaccines. Chris Okamaringa has more from Kinshasa.
That designation is reserved for diseases that have a very high risk of spreading to neighboring countries, and ideally it's meant to mobilize resources and expertise. This Ebola outbreak has happened in an area that is grappling with a conflict. There are a number of armed groups that have been attacking civilians, forcing them to flee their homes and live in crowded camps. And that is an area that facilitates the spread of this infectious disease. Ituri province, where it's happened in the northeast of the DRC, is also an area that shares a border with Uganda and South Sudan. There's a lot of cross-border trade around that area. People keep moving from one area to another.
Boosting technology cooperation is at the top of the agenda as India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi continues his European diplomatic outreach. After signing a semiconductor manufacturing deal in the Netherlands, clean technology would be in focus as the Prime Minister visits Norway on Monday.
Green technology, energy cooperation and critical minerals could be just some of the items on the agenda as Prime Minister Narendra Modi meets his Norwegian counterpart this week. It's the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Norway in 4 decades and comes as New Delhi has been looking to reduce its trade dependence on the US and China. Mr. Modi will also participate in the India-Nordic Summit on Tuesday. It comes after his visit to the Netherlands, where the Dutch semiconductor fabrication giant ASML signed a deal with India's Tata Electronics to build India's first fabrication plant. Ishan Garg, New Delhi.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. We're going to spend some time today and tomorrow hearing the Chinese position on last week's state visit to Beijing by President Trump. On the face of it, the US leader did not get very far with President Xi Jinping. Much coveted trade deals were more limited than many of the CEOs accompanying the US leader had hoped. China was much more focused on drawing red lines for the US over the issue of Taiwan than White House officials may have anticipated. But what did China get out of the visit? Victor Gao is Vice President of the Center for China and Globalization in Beijing.
Well, lots of things. First of all, President Trump restored the time-tested tradition of each sitting president of the United States ever since President Reagan making a state visit to China. And that tradition was broken by former President Biden. When he was president of the United States for 4 years, he didn't make a state visit to China. I would say President Biden was a Cold War president. His presidency was a Cold War presidency. And President Biden probably really didn't care about the fundamental interests of the American people.
Tomorrow, Taiwan, the toughest issue of all between Washington and China. Could it still completely derail the relationship and even spark a war between the United States and Beijing? We'll hear Victor Gao's views on those questions tomorrow. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main news again. With peace negotiations stalled, US President Donald Trump tells Iran the clock is ticking. His latest threats coming after he rejected Iran's response to the White House peace proposal. An Ebola outbreak in Congo and Uganda has been declared a global health emergency by the World Health Organization. Boosting technology cooperation is top of the agenda as India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi continues his European diplomatic outreach. And that is the latest feature story news. Neha Punya reporting.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion. The book that started the conversation, Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all three books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
You ever hit the wall, burnout, stressed, or just feeling that everything is piling up and thought, yeah, I probably need to talk to someone? The problem is finding the therapist who actually takes your insurance feels impossible at times. That's where Rula comes in. Rula is a healthcare company that makes mental health care easy to access and actually affordable. They partner with over 100 insurance plans, so the average copay is about $15 a session, sometimes even less. With Rula, you get matched with the right therapist for you, not just whoever's available. Their network has over 15,000 licensed professionals, and you can book an appointment as soon as tomorrow. No wait list, no frustrations, just therapy that works with your schedule and your insurance. Thousands of people are already using Rula to get affordable, high-quality therapy that actually covered by insurance. Visit rula.com/safetyfm to get started. After you sign up, you'll be asked how you heard about them. Please support our show and let them know that we sent you there. That's rula.com/safetyfm. You deserve mental health care that works with you, not against your budget. Go to rula.com/safetyfm right now to get started. That's rula.com/safetyfm because you deserve mental health care that works with you, not against your budget.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Do you have a claim and not sure where to turn? Coastal Claim Consultants are professionally licensed and bonded public insurance adjusters employed exclusively by you, the policyholder, to represent you after sustaining an insured loss. They assist policyholders in all aspects of processing the claim, working closely with the insured to provide the most equitable and timely settlement possible. They will provide you with comprehensive service, anything from inspecting the loss site, analyzing damages, compiling claim support data, reviewing applicable coverages, assessing replacement costs of damages, and negotiating your settlement. The adjusters at Coastal Claim Consultants will evaluate your claim for no upfront cost whatsoever. Coastal Claim Consultants' fee is based on contingency contracts and are paid when the insurance company sends you a check and it's in your possession. Coastal Claim Consultants are licensed to assist you in the following states: Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and South Carolina. For more information, go to coastal-cc.com. That's coastal-cc.com. For more information, lighting the way to recovery. Coastal Claim Consultants.
KFC? What'd they do chicken right? Us? We just wing it.
Who truly cares what this guy has to say? Who gives a shit? Rated R Safety Show.
Oh, it's rated something. Yeah, something. That's kind of the way that it goes when it's all said and done. Anyways, let's start talking right away about some things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse, because that's just kind of what we do around here. That's part of our gig, if you get it. So there you go. Okay, so if you're ready to start talking about everything that, we got to do over the weekend or got ready to do for this day after the weekend, maybe that's the way that we should start leaning in regards to talking about some of this stuff. So, of course, there's always a plethora of things that happen. But let's start off with one of those, let's see, how would I name it?
Odd stories.
48-year-old Michigan woman was arrested after allegedly stealing a bottle of wine at Traverse City liquor store and hiding it inside a body cavity. Yeah, store employees had already caught her the day before drinking alcohol without paying for it. And when she returned the bottle of Chardonnay, they tried to stop her, but they couldn't find the missing wine. Later, police discovered the bottle was concealed inside a body orifice during the booking at the jail. She was taken into the Munson Medical Center for treatment. And now is facing charges of including retail fraud, smuggling, and trespassing. She didn't steal a body of wine. She cellared it, if you get my drift. And when they said body of wine, she took it literally. No, seriously. She took it literally, if you start thinking about some of the stuff that's going on there. Like, seriously, think about it.
Duh.
Just for a moment there. Kind of an interesting one. I don't know if I would... want a bottle of wine that badly that it would be worth doing.
Duh.
I'm just saying. Just some stuff, of course, as we are talking. So let's continue talking about some other things. Company rewards employees with cheap goodie bags instead of raises, and people are shocked what's inside of it. So let's see, with grocery bills looking like a mortgage payment and gas pumps acting like casino slot machines, workers are desperate for raises and then that actually matter. But one employee on Reddit got to the corporate equivalent of a pat on the head and a stale snack. The workers posted photos on the inside of this forum showing the company's so-called end-of-year goodie bag. Instead of a raise inside, a water bottle, a pen, a single piece of candy, crackers, and some mystery trinket that may have been a toy or a measuring tape. Either way, nobody retiring early off of that. The employee added, yes, it all came with it. And which pretty much says everything that Reddit users instantly roasted the company, with one person saying that it would have been less offensive if they haven't given it out at all. Another asked if the employees were kindergartners. Some commenters even said that their own nightmare stories of cheap bosses. One who said the executives at their mom's company received $300,000 bonuses while employees got exactly one chocolate chip cookie each. One cookie. Not even two, like some kind of holiday high roller. Another commenter summed the bag perfectly by calling it's a go fuck yourself bag. While others said that it wouldn't even bother taking it home. Nothing says more like value your hard work quite like office crackers and fun-sized candy. Corporate America, where moral goes to die, besides the bowl of stale peppermints with the breakdown room. So there you go. Some things to think about as we are talking. So I don't know. What do you think about it there? Like, seriously, what do you think? It definitely makes it interesting. There's no other way to put it. That is for sure. So take a listen to this one. You can kind of already hear some interesting stuff out of California. So I don't think I'm going to tell you anything out of the ordinary here. as we are talking. So let's go ahead and do this one real quick. California man is in serious trouble after the federal authorities say that he tried to smuggle nearly 300 protected turtles to the U.S. and ship them or protected turtles out of the U.S. and then ship them to Taiwan. According to the Department of Justice, Donald Doe of Daly City was arrested after allegedly submitting a fake paperwork to get federal export permit of 292 loggerhead musk turtles. Prosecutors say that he and his accomplice spent more than a year trying to move the turtles overseas between late 2022 and mid-2024. Investigators claim that that Doe bought turtles that had been poached from the wild in Florida and other states, especially asking sellers for wild-caught animals and directing them to ship to, let's see, where exactly did he want them shipped? To San Francisco. Authorities also said that he tried to get more than 200 turtles from another suspect in Louisiana who allegedly lied to federal officials by claiming that the turtles had been legally bred in captivity. When exporters when the exports failed, prosecutors say that Doe tried covering his tracks by falsely telling the co-conspirator that he had sold the turtles domestically. The charges fall under the Lacey Act, a federal conservation law, better saying, that bans trafficking of wildlife obtained illegally or through fraudulent paperwork. The investigation was part of Operation Southern Hot Herps. Yeah, Hot Herps, which sounds like a law enforcement sting, but more of a terrible reptile-themed nightclub. Doe has pleaded not guilty if convicted. He could face up to 5 years in prison and $250,000 fine for each charge. He wasn't running a cartel. He was running a shell company. You get it? You get it? He was running a shell company. Okay, so there you go. What an interesting time. I mean, like, out of all the things to do, I would like to know what is the thing that it's worth, because that's what I want to know, because that's going to be the interesting one. So let me tell you about this one, because this happened over the weekend. A mid-air disaster turned into a miracle outcome at Idaho Air Show when two Navy EA-18G Growlers collided, sending all four crew members parachuting to safety in front of thousands of stunned spectators. During yesterday's Gunfire Skies Air Show in Mountain Home Air Force Base, two Navy Growlers jets clipped each other. Mid-air, tumbled and crashed just northwest of the base. Video captured the jets colliding, breaking apart, and falling into flames as the four parachutes deployed overhead. Crowds watched in shock, and black smoke rose from the crash site. Airshow's announcers quickly confirmed that we had four good parachutes the crew were able to eject. Emergency crews, including a helicopter, rushed the scene. By just after 1 p.m., officials announced that all four pilots had that were found safe in a nearby field. So let me ask you a question here, because I'm kind of always curious about this. Have you been to an air show? And if you have, what did you think about it? And if you did enjoy it, did anything weird happen? I don't think I've heard of a lot of air shows where strange things don't occur one way, shape, or form. So that's kind of one way that I look at it. So that's the first thing. And let's see. Let me look at this. I think the first air show that I went with a friend of mine, and he had a hat on. And so the hat covered his head, of course, and he was bald, which made it even interesting. So then they called him a quart short, because for the longest time he had a head tan that didn't cover all of his head, because, hey, you know, it didn't cover everything. So people were like, what the hell's going on?
More sarcasm than a Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so take a listen to this one. Rory McClure tells a fan to, well, let me explain. Rory McClure completely lost his cool at a PGA championship after a fan yelled on his backswing on the 16th hole on Sunday, causing him to flub a chip shot into the bunker. The golfer immediately spun around and shouted, "Shut the fuck up," at the heckler during what was already a frustrating final round. Rory also appeared to point at the fan at the marshals nearby, seemingly hoping the security would remove him from the course. Nobody knows exactly what the fan yelled, but it clearly got under Rory's skin. And considering the abuse that he dealt with lately, his patience may have already been, hanging on a thread. So let me ask you a question here. Because listen, I don't really watch that much sports. Like we can sit here and talk about mixed martial arts. We can talk about professional wrestling, and I can probably have a good convo with you. And that's about it. So when it comes to this, why is it that we look at this thing and we go, okay, there can be noise in every other sport, but there cannot be noise during the sport of golf?
Duh.
I just don't get it. I look at it and I go from the standpoint of which is the best way of doing this, because at the end of the day, people are loud. It's kind of the way that it goes. So how quiet does it need to be? And like your concentration is that strong? That reminds me back in the days, many, many years ago. And I'm talking many. They used to have spinners that people would put up behind when somebody was taking a free throw at a basketball game. And all of a sudden it became one of those things that they had to get rid of it. And you also had those shoes that did the weird stuff. The shoes that lit up that people were like, oh, no, can't have those because that would be too much for some.
Another pitfall of our society. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's talk about this one coming out of Austin. The Austin Police Department say the two teenagers behind the shooting spree that rattled neighborhoods across Austin and left 4 people injured. Police arrested a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old yesterday after the investigators linked them to 12 separate shooting incidents that stretched across the city from Saturday night until yesterday morning. Authorities say that the suspects fired at homes, apartments, complexes, pedestrians, 2 fire stations, and even a fire truck. While firefighters were nearby, one victim suffered critical injuries but is expected to survive, while 3 others had non-life-threatening wounds. Among the random attacks was a man walking his dog who was shot in the back and 2 people who were hit when suspects allegedly opened fire from passing the vehicle outside of a store. The chaos got so intense that officials issued a shelter-in-place order for parts of South Austin while officers searched for the suspects. The order was lifted once the teens were taken into custody, although police said that the possible 3rd suspect may still be on the run. According to police, the suspect allegedly stole multiple vehicles during the spree, cycling through a Hyundai's, a Mazda, a Kia, and then they moved around the city. Authorities also say the 17-year-old had already had a warrant tied to theft of a firearm, while the 15-year-old allegedly stole another gun from the same store. Lisa Davis described the investigation as complex because of the sheer number of scenes, stolen cars, and random shooting sprees across Austin. She also stressed out the seriousness of the 2 armed juveniles allegedly causing citywide havoc. So think about this for just a moment here, and I'm not trying to say anything out of the ordinary. So you have a couple of kids running around Austin, Texas, doing some crazy shit. And I don't know why all of a sudden you would think that this is a good idea to do. And I'm not picking on the kids here. I'm just saying in general, because it gets weird, and it gets weird quick when we start talking about these things. It's like, at what point do you think that this was a good idea about what you should go around and doing? Now, listen, you're going to sit back for a moment. You're probably going to hear all kinds of news stories about this where people are going to blame, okay, it was the violent video games. It was the TV shows they were watching. It was the social media influence. Duh. They're going to say all of this stuff because that's kind of the norm. But really, what happened there? At what point did these kids think that it was okay to do this? And what is going to be the claim here of the things that happened for them to be, okay, this made the most logical sense of us doing anything, and this is why we did it.
Show, and they just make fun of a whole bunch of people. It's just too funny. It's too stupid.
Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about this one real quick. Aaron Rodgers is officially coming back to the NFL season after agreeing to a new one-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers worth $22 million guarantee with incentives that could go up to $25 million. He spent months debating his future with Pittsburgh's playoff run ended with a blowout loss to the Houston Texans in January. Now Rodgers is gearing up for his 22nd season. NFL season, better saying, will reunite with the Steelers coach Mike McCarthy. His former coach with the Green Bay Packers. The pair famously won a Super Bowl together back in 2011 and then racked up 107 wins as a quarterback coach duo. Rodgers is expected to join Pittsburgh's voluntary off-season workouts this week, arriving much earlier than last season when he waited until minicamp to sign. Reason why Aaron Rodgers is too old to play football. Aaron Rodgers is 42 years old, and he's also why Aaron is too old to play football. What? Okay, so what does that have to do with anything? His playbook now comes with reading glasses and a little chain. I mean, really, we're going to sit here and make fun of the guy for playing. Listen, I could tell you this. You're going out there doing something that most people cannot do, and the only thing that we can do is Monday morning quarterback you, because there's just no other way that we could do anything. So there you go. Okay, so before we get into our main story, let's talk about this. If you're feeling tense, scattered, or just a little bit off, take a listen to this one. Adding avocado to your day can actually help smooth things out. And I don't know what they mean exactly by smooth things out, because that sounds a little perverse there. The healthy fats inside, especially monounsaturated fats, play a key role in your brain production of dopamine and serotonin, and the two neurotransmitters most responsible for mood, motivation, and emotional balance. So there you go. So let me ask a strange question there. Is this the reason why you see so many healthy people all the time eating so many, quote unquote, because I don't know how else to put it, quote unquote, healthy stuff? Like, is this the reason why they're constantly eating avocados? I'm just asking, because that would almost seem like that would be the main reason behind it. What do you think here? Or are you going, no, that is not the reason why they do it. They do it from the standpoint because it's important. I mean, it's kind of a weird thing. It's a little bit all over the place in regards of talking about it. What do you think here? Okay, let's go ahead and do this. It's 32 minutes past the top of the hour. Let's get into the main story.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so main story time. It's time to hang out, talk a little bit about this, talk a little bit about that, and talk a little bit about how we communicate inside of some of these places that we work at. And I have to tell you, I think it's interesting sometimes having combos with people, sometimes going around and doing the whole aspect here of looking around, and this whole aspect here of having really true conversations about what we should be doing. And the reason that I mention all of this is I cannot tell you as of recent on how market confusion occurs. And let me explain, and let's kind of go through the path. Have you been at a work site? Have you been at a job where something is discussed, but essentially the instructions are not clear? Most of the people in the quote unquote group, most of the people at the work site, most of the people at the job site thought that something meant something entirely different. And all of a sudden, there's that moment in time where everybody's like, oh, this doesn't mean this means that. And then you have to go back to the source material to try to figure it out. And we can talk about anything. We can talk about rules. We can talk about regulations. We can talk about how this is not explained. The one that I love the most is the open for interpretation one. Duh. Because that's the one that always kind of goes, oh, how is that going to work? So here's what I'm going to tell you. As we go through the process today and talk about this, I want you to sit back and think about this. The last time inside of your organization, someone came up and said, listen, we have this new rollout going on. we have this new thing that is happening. We have this new thing that we're going to do. And nobody really explained it properly. There was an assumption that was going on. There was this information that everybody made believe that, hey, this is the way we're supposed to be doing this, but this is not really how it's actually outlined. Like, I'll use an example here. As of last week, as this example would come up, I'll use it for something that's happening here at the radio station. Over the last few months, we've been promoting an event that we're having in Orlando, and we're doing it at a movie theater, and we're going to have people there. And we did reference that we would be watching a documentary at some point throughout the day for this event. Now, it was interesting to find out, which I was not aware of whatsoever, that there was people that had some assumptions that the event, the people that we were claiming were going to be there, were going to be virtual or only on a screen, not referencing exactly that these people would be in the room. Now, there was a couple of reasons for this assumption. It was not specifically listed that they would be live in the room. It did not specifically list that live in the room meant live in the room, not live like a video screen. Also, the other portion that it kind of threw people off was the price point, because it was significantly cheaper or not premium cost compared to when these people speak live. So because of these telltale signs to others, there was an auto assumption that it was a pre-recording on a screen. That was it. Now, the funny part is that as we sit back and talk a little bit about this, it gets weird. It gets to that whole conversation where we need to have the discussion of when we are developing stuff, when we are having discussions with people, when we are having discussion with our teammates, when we are having discussion with the people that we do work with, maybe we have to do finite detail on what the expectation is. Because, of course, there's always the assumptions that people understand exactly what you are trying to say. Now, I had a friend tell me this many, many, many years ago, and it's always stuck in my head. She said, I am responsible for what I say, not the things that you understand. Now, I thought it was interesting because I was like, that could almost come across offensive to some. But here's where we sometimes tend to fail as the receivers of the information. We don't ask enough questions. And sometimes as the people providing the information, we also fail because we don't give enough info. So if we learn how to communicate properly by sharing information with people, maybe that would be slightly different by going into finite detail. What we tend to forget from time to time is that people tend to learn things differently, meaning the following. You might understand something perfectly if it's explained with X, Y, and Z, while other people might not understand it at all unless you give a perfect explanation on what you're trying to accomplish. So think about that next time. The next time you're having a conversation with someone, the next time that you're trying to line out the next big program, the next big change that's going on within your organization, maybe that is the combo to have there. Maybe that is the conversation to go around and say, hey, maybe it was time to explain that a lot better because maybe I just am not as good as I thought. And maybe I just suck at communicating.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You're listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
You are listening to a renowned safety expert, Dr. Jay Allen, on Safety FM. Changing safety cultures, one broadcast and one podcast at a time. Join the fun on social media and find us on Facebook at Safety FM.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all three books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp-speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobilemobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
You are listening to a radio god. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a radio god. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
It's my kind of music. I get the best mix of my favorite music. All on one radio station.
Another wild ride is around the corner on Radio Big.
Hour, 44 minutes past the top of the hour as you are hanging out here on Safety FM and Radio Big as you are taking a listen to the Rated R Safety Show. I know, right? By the way, have you went to our website to kind of revamp the whole damn thing? And if you pay close attention, you'll see exactly what we've changed around. I guess I should reference this. A couple of different things going on today. But let me tell you this part real quick first. This right here is Smacked Youth, White Line Fever. Songs readily available on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, and Pandora. So, I guess I will not be letting the cat out of the bag, but we have went over a whole revamp here at safetyfm.com. We have went over a whole revamp on Safety FM. And so what does that mean exactly for you? Well, that means the following. We changed everything up to make sure that we have featured stories and featured shows that you want to take a listen to. And starting today, in some podcatchers, you will have the video aspect of what the hell we're doing as well. So like this show, we normally put the first hour on podcast because, you know, this is hour 1 of 3. But the first hour on certain podcast catchers today, you'll be able to watch either the video or just do the audio. So there's some options for you. So yeah, go to the new safetyfm.com, take a look around, tell me what you think. Should make things a lot easier these days in regards to that. Okay, so with that being said, let's continue talking, because that's kind of what we do. And let me tell you about the most important thing that I will ever tell you in my lifetime, and that's about my friends at To Write Love on Our Arms. No matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help, and we want you to know that people have been where you are now and that healing is possible. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com. That's TWLOHA.com and click on the section that says Find Help. Once you get there, information related to addiction, depression, anxiety, eating disorder, self-injury, suicide, trauma, grief support, just to name a few. That's TWLOHA.com, To Write Love on Her Arms. Listen, we would love to see you there on the website, taking a look around, because there's so many news stories that are there. There's so many stories and conversations that happen behind the scenes. If you go to the very top there, you're going to see about, the section says about, get involved, stories, event, self-care, and store, even a way to donate or find help. The reason why I say we will enjoy seeing you there is because there's just so much information that you can gather from that website and make a run for it. And I mean that in the best way possible. So, with that being said, TWLOHA.com, click on the section that says Find Help. Okay, so let's continue talking about some other things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse, because that's kind of what we do around here. We talk a little bit about this, we talk a little bit about that, we go here, we go there, we go everywhere. So let's do this real quick, because I think that this is important. Let me tell you about this event that we have coming up. And we're calling it Reality Shifts. It's an observational symposium taking place in Orlando, Florida, where Nick Weatherly will be there live and in person talking about BBS. Todd Conklin will be there live and in person talking about human and organizational performance. Jay Allen, which is me, will be there live and in person talking about Signal. We would love to see you there. Monday, July the 13th in Orlando. If you're looking at the screen, there's a little QR code right there that you can give a little scanner interaction to. Or you can go to safetyfm.io. All the information is there. We have updated that thing as much as possible in regards of you knowing that it's live and in living color in regards to the stuff that will be going on in that particular day. No doubt about that.
Duh.
So just some things to think about as we are talking.
Duh.
Okay. So there you go. safetyfm.io. Scan the QR code. Would love to see you there in person just to cover the plethora of info the plethora of information that is going on over there for sure. So there you go. Some things to think about as we are talking. Okay, so with that being said, I do have John Smalls waiting in the wing. He would love to start talking about the Motivation Minute because that's kind of what he does. So if you're good with this, I am definitely good with this, and we can move forward and prosper. So here's some John Smalls talking about the Motivation Minute. No, like seriously, talking about the Motivation Minute.
Courtesy of JaceCaseMedical.com. Today's quote was submitted by Alex. Simon Sinek said, "Communication is not about saying what we think. Communication is about ensuring others hear what we mean." This is a great point. Have you ever listened to somebody give a speech and then wondered what the heck were they trying to say? I've been there. I was able to help somebody prepare a speech about a year ago. She gave me the copy ahead of time. I read it, then I asked some questions. There were several things that were implied, but I didn't know if that's what she really meant. And she said, "Well, I think most people would know." Then I said, "Well, or you could just come out and say what you mean, then everybody will know." She kind of chuckled and was like, "Well, that's why I asked for your help." It's never a bad idea to have a second set of eyes look over something like that. I've been that person many times, and I've asked others to do that for me as well.
The Motivation Minute.
This has been the Motivation Minute. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
A nationwide poll in the United States shows growing public frustration with the president's handling of the economy and inflation.
On Sunday, a major national survey found that a strong majority of Americans say high gas prices and rising costs are weighing heavily on their budgets, and many blame the current administration's economic policies for making things worse in the short term. The poll also reveals that even some Republicans are increasingly dissatisfied with how the president is managing inflation, which could shape political debates ahead of upcoming elections. Jessica Oakley reporting.
Security forces in the Middle East are scrambling to protect a nuclear power plant after a drone strike sparked a fire near the facility.
On Friday, authorities in the United Arab Emirates confirmed a drone attack near the Baraka nuclear power plant in the Al Dhafra region, setting an external electric generator on fire but causing no injuries and no damage to the reactor's safety systems. Officials say they have yet to identify who carried out the strike, though the incident fits a broader pattern of repeated drone attacks on the country's energy infrastructure. Benjamin Wright reporting.
A deadly Ebola-type outbreak in Central Africa has now been declared a global health emergency.
On Saturday, global health officials raised the alert level over a rare strain of Ebola spreading in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo and neighboring Uganda, with hundreds of suspected cases reported and more than 80 deaths already recorded. Health teams are rushing staff and supplies to the region and urging neighboring countries to tighten border screening as infections jump in several health zones. Chris Anderson reporting.
Law enforcement in the United States has charged a man with plotting terror attacks on Jewish sites across the country.
On Friday, prosecutors announced charges against an Iraqi national accused of planning attacks on Jewish locations in the U.S., including scouting targets and gathering information that could be used in an assault. The case is part of a broader investigation into foreign-linked threats, and authorities are urging community leaders to remain vigilant while they continue to review online communications and movements. Lawrence Keller reporting.
A deep-sea diving expedition in the Indian Ocean has turned into a mass fatality tragedy, leaving 5 Italian divers dead.
On Saturday, Italy's foreign ministry confirmed that 5 of its nationals died while exploring underwater caves at about 50 meters depth in the Vaavu atoll of the Maldives, likely during a technical dive gone wrong. Search and recovery operations have been difficult, with local and international teams working to retrieve the divers' bodies from the submerged caverns and to review what went wrong in the dive plan. Gary Beck reporting.
And that's the latest news headlines with Alan Edwards.
Warning. Listening to other radio stations could cause testicle shrinkage.
I'm talking the truth.
Okay. Here we are, 54 minutes past the top of the hour, so let's start talking right away about some things that happened back on this date, because that's what we kind of do. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Back in 1917, U.S. passes Selective Service Act. In 1934, TWA begins commercial service. 1969, the Apollo 10 launched towards the lunar orbit. Let's see, what else? In 1989, Lisa Strawberry filed for divorce from Darryl Strawberry. So there you go. Some things that are going on right there, or that happened back on those dates. Let's talk about some birthdays that are going on today. Ricky Wackman turned 77 today. George Strait turned 74. Chow Yun-fat turned 71. Tina Fey turns 56. And Spencer Breslin turns 34 today. So there you go. Some birthdays for you if you are interested. Some things that you ought to know. Long shot Napoleon Solo shocked the field of Laurel Park, winning the 2026 Preakness Stakes at a 10-1 odds among the 14 horses. The victory marks the second jewel of the Triple Crown through Golden Tempo. That must mean something for other people. This year's Kentucky Derby winner sat out the rest of the Belmont Stakes. So there you go. Also, Denny Hamlin won yesterday's NASCAR All-Star race from Dover Motor Speedways. Here's Friday's Mega Million winning numbers. Jackpot was $251 million. It was 17, 23, 25, 52, 61. The Mega Ball was 3. And here are Saturday's winning Powerball numbers. Jackpot was $86 million. 8, 37, 40, 44, 65. Powerball was 18. Power Play was 3. Since there was no jackpot winners tonight, jackpot climbs to $100 million. And some other news, President Donald Trump turned up the heat on Iran yesterday with a blunt warning that sounded a whole lot less like diplomacy and a whole lot more like final notice. Posting on Truth Social, he wrote, "For Iran, the clock is ticking, and there better be moving fast, or there won't be anything left of them." He added, "Time is of the essence." President DJT officially left the building. So there you go. Okay, so there you go. A passenger from Canada has become the first known case of hantavirus linked to the cruise ship outbreak aboard the MV Hondius, making it the first reported infection tied to the incident in North America. Bonnie Henry announced that one of the 4 Canadians currently isolating in British Columbia tested presumably positive for the virus after running from the expedition cruise earlier this month. The infected passenger is part of the couple in their 70s from Yukon who got off the ship and returned to Canada on May the 10th. Officials say that the person began experiencing mild symptoms Thursday, including a fever, headache, while remaining in isolation. Hantavirus is rare but potentially serious disease, usually spread through the contact of rodents dropping urine or saliva. Symptoms often begin like flu-like symptoms and can become severe if infection progresses. So there you go. Anyway, so that's going to sum up our time together. Thanks for hanging out with me on this lovely day. Always a good time when you and I get to hang out together. No doubt about that one as we are talking. If I can leave you with some words of wisdom for today. Confidence is quiet. Insecurity arrives with a megaphone. And here's another one. If you need some advice for today, add a tiny bit of butter or coconut oil to your coffee for extra richness and energy. Your coffee becomes breakfast with ambition. Things to think about as we are talking. So there you go. At the top of the hour, I'll be going over to RadioBig.fm, talking about the world of music and entertainment over there for the next couple hours or so. If you don't want to go over there, you can hang out here with the likes of Sheldon Primus as he talks about the world of safety consulting. That's kind of how it goes as we are doing our thing. No doubt about that. Okay, with that being said, I know who you are. You know who I am. Love ya, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Safety FM and or Radio Big. The content discussed, including examples of analysis, is provided for illustrative purposes only. It should not be applied as the sole solution in real-world scenarios. as it is based on limited and dated open source information. Any assumptions made during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are not reflective of Safety FM and or Radio Big. No portion of this broadcast, podcast, or radio show may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic, mechanical, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of Safety FM and or Radio Big. For permission requests, please contact Safety FM or Radio Big directly.